When slavery was abolished in America in 1865, the United States Congress created the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which essentially redefined the parameters of slavery. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist in the United States. This clause has allowed Americans to continue to enslave Black people and poor people for over 150 years. Today, America has the highest incarceration rate in the world. Our jails and our prisons are mostly filled with poor people and people of color. When someone is convicted and moves from jail to federal or state prison, the government now has legal access to them as a workforce. These prisoners work for almost nothing, making road signs or mattresses or just about anything the government decides. The Eastern Correctional Facility is one of the oldest prisons in New York. Here, many of the prisoners are enrolled in a prison labor program where the inmates work for far below minimum wage. Some people see these programs as a good thing, training inmates for skills they can use when they're released, while others see it as modern-day slavery.
Many of your speed limit signs, your stop signs, your no U-turn signs, all the road signs you're seeing as you drive down the road on any typical journey, they make many of them right here.
So what do they get paid?
The pay rate ranges from about 15 cents an hour up to 65 cents an hour.
What's the sort of motivation for not paying them minimum wage?
Well, wage and inmate pay rate is set by regulation, but you have to understand, a minimum wage employee in the community, that's assuming that they're meeting all the financial demands of perhaps maintaining a household, a family, and all the attendant fiscal responsibilities there. Purchasing of groceries, the housing costs, transportation costs, healthcare costs. For an inmate who's incarcerated in a correctional facility, those costs are not realized by the inmate.
For time spent within the penal system, inmates will accumulate fees averaging $13,600. Their families suffer huge financial losses in lost wages. By the age of 48, a former inmate will have earned $179,000 less than someone who has never been incarcerated.
Every time that prisoners have gone to court seeking to be paid for their labor, seeking to be compensated for their labor, the court's response is, you're slaves of the state. Those are the exact words of court after court after court for the last 120 years. Prisoners are slaves of the state, and as such, they're not entitled to any compensation at all.
I read in Prison Legal News that companies like Victoria's Secret, Whole Foods, and Starbucks have used prison labor. Paul Wright exposed those stories. What percentage of prison labor is corporate America?
It's actually pretty small. I mean, and I think that, this may be bad for your story, but the reality is that at any given time, there's around 5,000 to 6,000 prisoners employed by the private sector in this country.
But the truth is, most prisoners aren't working for private companies. They work for the government. Cheap labor keeps the prison system running. So, what are they doing?
They're doing, primarily what prisoners do is they run the prisons. So anything that has to get done in a prison, unless it's security related, usually prisoners are doing it. So they're doing plumbing, they're doing maintenance, they're doing custodial and janitor services, cleaning, they're cooking food, they're serving food. Literally anything you can think of that is needed to run a prison, prisoners do.
So the prison saves a fortune by making the prisoners run the prison.
Millions, tens of millions, yeah.
They save tens of millions.
There was a GAO report in 1993 that said it would cost prisons hundreds of millions of dollars more each year to pay prisoners minimum wage for the work that they did. So prisons are saving hundreds of millions of dollars by employing prisoners. And when we crunched the numbers, we found that the median wage in state prisons was 20 cents an hour, and the median wage in federal prison was 31 cents an hour. And in a number of states, they don't pay anything at all.
What?
Yeah, oh yeah. In Texas, Georgia, Arkansas, and Alabama, prisoners are not paid for their work at all.